Hey all, Boardgamerants here. We'll find everything solo tabletop gaming and more. And it's Sunday. It's game day. Football as well as board games. Coffee, check. Holiday spirit, check. Let's see what we got going on. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully you're getting some good gaming action here today, this lazy Sunday I got going on. So here's Sentinels of the Multiverse Definitive Edition. I mentioned last week I was going to bust into, or I was hoping to bust into this, and sure enough, got her open. Second game here in motion. When you're playing this solo, you have to play three-handed, and at least three-handed, I should say. So I've got, hero there, squeeze in another hero over here, and then there's who I'm fighting, Citizen Dawn. There's the environment deck. It's very similar to, it reminded me of, well, I'll get to it, but Street Masters here that I set up. Because I played this once and I was, underwhelmed by it, I guess. From a solo standpoint, it's just a lot of math to keep track of. You're going to have a lot of these little, it's nice that they came with these little native +1, -1 tokens and stuff, because it's very mathy. It's very, -1 here, but +1 there, and then you got to add all the -1s and the +1s, and you got to remember who's, +1ing and -1ing, and it's, I can see it probably just being much better multiplayer, because I haven't really enjoyed trying to keep track of all of that. But the setup is wickedly fun. Or not really fun, but wickedly quick. You just grab yourself a few heroes and an environment deck, a villain, and you're off and running. You flip over a few cards and boom, you're good to go. So that is pretty attractive about this game. But you're going to be able to play a mess of cards, and I don't know. I mean, I could have more space, and this wouldn't feel so cramped, of course, but you just have a lot of cards all interacting with each other. And from a solo perspective, I don't mind doing that for, like, say, playing Madara. I loved doing that just because it was so immersive and thematic. And this is, also too, I'm not big into comic books. I never have been. I don't read comic books, so I don't really know any of these characters. There's no attachment, and I can appreciate how quickly it sets up. And it's cooperative, so a lot of people can interact with each other and stuff. But from a solo perspective, well, I'm only in my second game, so I can't pass a verdict here. But still be plugging away at this. But what that game got me thinking about was Street Masters, which has a very similar concept. This is one of my favorite games, and it's taken me a while to bust it out. I've been waiting for like a reason to, and this gave it to me. And because it's very similar, it's very, you got your villain, you got your environment, if you will, deck, and then you've got who you're playing. And it's just basically decks you pull out of there, and it's very modular. You can mix and match and stuff, just like Sentinels of Multiverse. Takes a little longer to set up because there's a whole different aspect here of, you got characters on a board, moving around, interacting with things on the board and each other. But I just find it, well, there's a couple things I like about it. One, I identify with the theme. I loved, like, Street Fighter. I loved, what's the game called? Double Dragon. Double Dragon was an old arcade game, late 80s probably. And oh my God, I just remember putting quarter after quarter into that game. And this reminds me of that. And so there's some nostalgic yum here. The fact you can just play one, if you're playing solo, you can play one character. You don't have to play three. I find even within that, I'm just a couple rounds in, and this stray grenade pops up, and so now I've got to, I can either use it now, or it's gonna blow up in my hands, and so, but I have, like hot potato, I can throw it at somebody and cause some damage. It kind of might got in the way of maybe my plan that I had going on, but it's just so cool that this stuff like that pops up, and you can run around, and you can get loot. You get loot for taking out bad guys, and then there's a a story here, kind of an overarching theme depending on what environment and villain you're taking on. But you can also play. There's story modes in here. There's different hero stories you can play. So you can play this kind of campaign mode. There's not really any deck building to it, much like Sentinels the Multiverse. You just get a deck, but there are things you can, if you're playing your hero story, you can actually add all sorts of cards to this if you want, or you don't have to, or you can play in such a fashion that you kind of earn them. So a little bit kind of reminds me of another game, none other than Arkham Horror, the card game. And I mentioned I was just kind of in the mood for this type of game, and this game really epitomizes. It's the cream of the crop. The immersive theme, the whole Arkham Horror theme and the Cthulhu stuff that I've never read any of the books, but I've totally been into like all the games, and I've more or less had all the games and tried all the games that have to do, with Arkham Horror. And this, though, you're playing an actual story, and that story is kind of run by this agenda and this act, and the board is so, everything's so different. There's just kind of like the story that I was playing before this had me running on these train cars, and I had to get from train car to train car before they all came unhinged. This one, I don't know, I've never played this one. I'm trying to find the key to get into this hidden chamber, and it's locked underneath one of these. I have to unlock, basically investigate until I find the key that allows me. Then I have to go up there and unlock that hidden chamber, which will allow me to finally move forward in this act. But I've got, all this bad stuff happening. There's a bit of a timer effect, but here you can really, build your deck out, and then as you're playing campaign style, you get to add cards, stronger cards. You buy them in effect. Arkham Horror, of all the games I've played, Lord of the Rings, LCG, Marvel, now the definitive edition of Sentinels, and even Street Masters. This game is it's really something else, and all of them play similarly too. So even though I have all three spread out right now and I'm playing all three, there's such similarities between all of them that it's not too difficult to remember the rules from one to the other. So it's kind of a fun thing to be able to just bounce around and play all these different games, and they all have a similar vibe. So you kind of from a rule set standpoint, it's easy to keep everything together. Well, I don't know about easy, but anyway. And lastly, over here I got Blood Rage, which I'm trying this solo variant out of. This is the second game here and trying it, and there's a couple different ones, and this this is sorry, I was grabbing this move. This is my little doohickey. You know how when you don't have anybody to reach across that board and move your little scoring markers? Well, boom, you just grab one of these suckers. This is literally a skewer, and I glued a chunk of eraser to the end of it. Anyway, there's probably something cooler than that, but I MacGyvered that. Here is the solo variant or one of them for Blood Rage. And this one, you don't need any extra stuff. You just basically use everything in the game, and then you can use this little quick sheet here that's just one-sided to kind of help you run the AI. And I'm no pro at this game. I've only played it, this is my third time. I played it once multiplayer, once solo, and now trying this this one variant out. But there's another variant too that I want to try that has a very similar, that it gives credit to one of my favorite games of all time, Anachrony. And Anachrony had David Turczi provide a solo variant for, and it was I've never, up until that point, I'd never experienced a solo mechanic such as Anachrony. But there's a version of this solo variant wise that I think, well, it credits Anachrony for. So I'm interested in trying that, but right now I'm just trying to get this game out and get, there's so many people that are probably wickedly good at this game. I still don't really know the ins and outs and of the strategy to go for and stuff like that, but beautiful game. And so far, the solo variant's pretty straightforward. The actual rules for it are only, just these couple pages front and back. Well, most of this is, and a lot of it's just setup, and then you just gotta kind of need to get faster at being able to go through these little tiebreaker things here, but and the game will flow a little bit better. But yeah, enjoying it. But you can tell Blood Rage, it's a multiplayer game. That's where you get the Blood Rage effect. Lastly, just a quick here's all my Final Girl stuff. So I ended up playing 4 or 5 games with the Maple Lane Dr. Fright till I finally beat it, and or one of the scenarios. And this is, one thing that I really like about Street Masters versus Sentinels of Multiverse is I'm a sucker for having something to move around on a board and just having physical things and bits and pieces to do stuff. And so when it's just basically straight up just a card game, it holds less appeal than say Street Masters, which you've got a whole map board you're moving on. But even Arkham Horror too, you just got a lot. You're moving your character around in locations and stuff, and there's just that extra dynamic. And this is a blend of kind of all of it. Just, it's beautiful on the table. Thematically, it'd be tough to find an equal game that harnesses that thematic feel while you're playing it, except for maybe Nemesis. Nemesis is my go-to game for, there's the other stuff for it, but my go-to game for thematic solo play, Nemesis is it, but this is, and Nemesis has that depth and the heaviness, and this is not as heavy, but man, it's super enjoyable, and the pace at which you play, and just the cleverness too of how the storage options work, and just beautiful all around. Well done series here. It's very unique in the space. So got this off the side, but only temporarily. And lastly, still got the Automaton of Shale to get to, the Too Many Bones stuff. I picked up this game, Pulsar 2849. Vladimir Suchi, the designer, and the guy that did Underwater Cities, probably what he's most well known for, that I played and more or less enjoyed, but I did sell. But Pulsar 2849 is a multiplayer game, but it does have some solo variant, or at least a variant. It might have solo variants that I'm interested in, because that's just kind of my kind of game. I enjoy the space, the sci-fi stuff. So anyway, here's another one too. I need to get into Burn Cycle. I picked up these extra goodies here that I haven't even opened yet. The Specialist, the Biodefender expansion. Burn Cycle is in that chip theory family, and a cooperative game, and that, yeah, one of these days, it's just, I have 4 games on the table. Apparently it's not enough to keep up with what I got to get to. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Till next time, I'm Boardgamerants, and I'm out.